The most hated ad platform across waterproofing contractors is the Meta ads. And sometimes it's justified, but we're going to go over why most contractors think Meta ads don't work and how we're able to get our clients such good results and put them in the top 5, top 1% of Meta ads being run across the board, getting them a 10, 15, even 20, 25x return on every single dollar they're putting into their Meta ads. And I speak to a lot of contractors, a lot of waterproofing foundation companies every single day, and Meta ads is without a doubt the most hated platform across all of them. And they have a real reason to hate them because they get bad results with it. And it's not the ad platform's fault that they get bad results, right? Like if you're playing piano and you suck, you're not going to get mad at the piano, right? You have to have that same logic with Meta ads, where if the ads are doing bad, it's not the platform's fault. If the platform sucked, people wouldn't be spending $500 million a day on Meta ads across all industries, right? If that was the case, Meta would not be a successful company. And so obviously the Meta ads work very well. That is how we acquire a lot of jobs and a lot of qualified estimates for the clients and the companies that we work with. And we're going to be going over how we do that. You can see here, we average a 10x return minimum on Meta ads for our clients. And you're going to see why, because there's a lot more that goes into it than just the ad itself and just the campaign itself. And so it's not the platform, it's the system around it. And these are the 4 main reasons that Meta platforms fail for a majority of contractors. Firstly, they have no lead gen system. They don't really know how to run the ads themselves. They don't know how the campaign works. Running Meta ads in itself is a skill. Just like anything else, you're not going to want to run Meta ads in your first go around, be amazing at it. It's a skill that you need to learn and adapt to. It does take a while, years even, to get very good at Meta ads. There's a lot to it. And a lot of contractors just run boosted posts, or they just take a random video that has no logic behind it or a photo and they run it as an ad. And then when it doesn't perform, they get upset that it didn't perform well. And so there's a reason that it didn't, right? Because if it was a good ad, it would have performed well. And I know that's blunt, but that really is the reality of it. And number 2 is there's no creative process. 1 ad, maybe 2. There's no iteration on the ads. There's no messaging tests. There's no idea which hook actually wins. There's no testing different hooks. There's no testing different bodies. No testing different call to actions. There's no testing different landing pages, different lead capture, different backgrounds in the video, different people, girls, guys recording the ads. So many different angles that you can test, and every single different angle that you take with testing an ad will make a difference in how it performs. Whether you have text on it, whether you're using captions, whether it's you wearing a bright red shirt versus a black shirt versus having a watch on your wrist that stands out versus having your truck in the background versus being on a job site. All these different things will make the ads perform differently. The tiniest little tweaks with ads make it perform differently. And so performance usually dies very quickly, and then they blame the algorithm and they say this platform sucks. I've never seen people come on to speak with us and have so much animosity towards an ad platform like they do for Meta. And it's like I said, if I suck at piano, I'm not going to get mad at the piano for being shit at playing piano. It's because I don't have the skills and how to do it, right? And it's like anything else. I'm sure when you started doing waterproofing work, started doing foundation work in the very, very beginning, you weren't good. You didn't know what you're doing. It's the same as with the ads. It takes a little bit of practice to get good at it, like any skill, anything in the world. Number 3, very important, is a follow-up engine. A lead opts in at 9 p.m., nobody's calls, and by the morning, the homeowner has already booked someone else. Or if a lead comes through at 10 a.m. and they're not getting reached out to till 10:30 or 11, then at that point, you're missing out on so many potential conversions. You probably are very much underestimating how big of a deal speed to lead is. Speed to lead is the entire game. That plays the biggest difference in any paid channel, any organic channel, any opt-in. And if you're not calling these leads within 60 seconds, max 5 minutes, then you are missing out on a ton. Even the difference between waiting 60 seconds and just 10 minutes. You may think 10 minutes is still quick. 10 minutes is a huge difference. There's been a lot of studies done on this, and even just waiting by the 30-minute mark, your chance of reaching that lead decreases by 98%. 98%. That almost seems unreal with how big of a difference that is. But that is why one of the first things we do is make sure we have speed to lead dial. We have a rep for every business we work with who's dialing the leads we generate immediately to qualify them and schedule them in. Then the other big thing is tracking. And I see this very consistently across contractors because of the fact that the tech side of things usually isn't their domain, right? Usually they're amazing at the work they do. And we speak to a lot of guys who scale to 2, 3, 5, 7 million a year purely based off the fact that they're just amazing at what they do and they're very knowledgeable on the services they provide and they do great work and they have a great reputation. But they don't have the tracking. The tracking is huge. Because if you're really looking to scale, you're going to need the tracking systems in place. Because if you don't have the tracking, you don't know what's actually going on in your business. If you don't know the numbers, you don't really know the business. We speak to so many companies. We actually just spoke to a company a couple weeks ago who they were spending $5K a month on Google ads. And we're asking them, okay, cool, what's the return right now you guys are getting Google ads? I don't know. Okay, well, do you know roughly how many estimates you're getting a month? Like, no, I don't know. And so for all we know, this 5K could be going to Google ads and just they might as well just be lighting it on fire because they have no clue what's going on. You don't know what that money's bringing back. You don't know how many estimates, you don't know how many calls, you don't know how many leads, you don't know the conversion rates, you don't know the lead to booking rate, you don't know any of these metrics. And so how are you going to make decisions on that channel and all channels if you don't know the numbers for those channels? You're just shooting in the dark with every decision you make. Whereas when you have the data, you have the numbers across everything, there's no emotional decisions behind it. It's purely data-driven, logical decisions. We look at the data, okay, this Google Ads channel, it's only getting us a 3x return, whereas Meta is getting us an 8x. Let's allocate more of the budget to the Meta side because obviously that is the logical choice to make here. Or if the Google LSA is maybe getting you a ton more leads, but they're just not converting, it's important to know that because if you're not tracking it and you just see a ton of leads coming through, you're going to think that's great. But if you don't see how many of those leads are converting and eventually you find out, oh my God, it's been 0 leads converting or only 5% conversion rate this entire time or 5% have been booking, then you should have turned that channel off a long time ago. But if you're just looking at the lead flow and not the actual conversion metrics, you don't know what's really going on. And you want to be tracking this across the organic channels, across the Google My Business, the website opt-ins, the Google LSA, the Google search, the Meta ads, the Yelp ads, the YouTube ads, whatever ads you're running. And you want to have different phone numbers for every single channel, including the organic, your Google business, and also your website. Because if a lead calls in, we want to know which channel they came from. And you want to have all these different phone numbers from all the different channels, all forward back to one main number so that your team can answer. And that's a very simple way to set that up. That's something we do for all the businesses we work with as well, because now you're able to track, okay, we know that if a lead calls from this number, that it was a Google LSA lead. And then they forward back to the main number, you answer, and now we know, okay, that was a Google LSA lead, and we have all the metrics. That's one simple way to do it. And then we also will typically like to build in-depth tracking dashboards that just show all the channels at face value so you can see exactly what's going on. Now, here's a couple examples of time frames for what we see with Meta. The reason we like Meta so much is because it's so quick to get results. Meta is one of those things where it's not the best channel usually year-round or to be running 24/7. Google LSA is usually a bit better. Google search sometimes as well. But Meta is amazing to where when we work with a business, we know we can get them very good results very quickly with Meta, sometimes getting them a 10, 15, 20x return within the first week, first month, whatever it may be, making them 100 grand, 150 grand, 200 grand over a couple months just by them putting in 3,000, 4,000 a month in ad spend. And so these are a couple of results with a few businesses that we worked with that are over completely different time frames here. So this is one of our guys' basement waterproofing or basement foundation repair in Wisconsin. He's been with us for about a year now, and you can see here he spent about $22,000. He's been spending around $3,000 a month, give or take, a little bit less, some months pause and whatnot. But you can see he generated 176 leads at $128 per lead. And so usually, right, if you weren't tracking this and all you saw was the cost per lead, maybe just on the Meta dashboard or whatever, for us, we would typically think, okay, 120 is higher than we want to see for leads usually. But the cost per estimate is in such a great spot, $158 per estimate. You can see we got him 143 estimates, $158 per estimate, which turned into $420,000 in revenue. And so for this, usually we would maybe see, okay, Meta isn't always the best to run year round, but the results for him were so good that we never stopped it to where we just kept it going. And now we're building up the organic side, the SEO, all those types of things for him because it makes sense. And the Meta sometimes will shut it off early to move into the other channels. But in this case, it was such great numbers that we wanted to leave it on there. And so you'll see here kind of more so what we aim for cost per lead wise. And Dry Space is a very similar situation where he was over a 3-month period, about 3.5 months, and he was spent about $12,000, so about $3,000 a month, 86 leads. And again, a bit of a higher cost per lead than what we'd normally want to see, but you can see such a high percentage rate, 86 of these leads, 59 of those 86 scheduled estimates. So that's what? 73% conversion rate of lead to booking. So in that case, cost per estimate, $212, super happy, very good spot to be, very profitable, because if you're closing even 20% of these for, on average, crawl space job for this guy around 15,000, 17,000, you're spending $1,000 to get a massive return, right? 15, 17x return. And so you can see here, right? 22,000 spent to 420,000. That's over a 20x return. And then here, 12,000 spent to 128,000. That's a little over a 10x return, about 11x return, right? And then here we have Dry Duck, which this is a 1 week timeline. So this is over 1 week, a little over 1 week. They spent $1,200 on the ads, got 24 leads at $52 per lead. So this is more so what we like to aim for the cost per lead, usually under $100. And you can see here, usually under 80 or so, $52, amazing cost per lead. Lead flow is awesome. Cost per estimate, now 9 estimates booked in the first week, and $139 per estimate and $19,000 in revenue, to where here we're sitting at like, what is this, a 15x return, right? Puts you in a very good spot. And so you can see the different time frames of Meta and how good it performs. And this is why we like to run it, because it's very, very effective. And then now we can build these other channels on top of it. And the other thing about Meta is the presence it brings you. The amount of people that see Meta ads, the cost per impression on Meta is ridiculous compared to anything else, to where Dry Space, for example, he just told us last week that when he goes to the grocery store now, these people come up to him and say they saw his ads. Just random people. It's like he's a local celebrity now. And that's another powerful thing about Meta. It also drives a lot more people to the website. He's been getting a ton more estimates and closed jobs from the website as well. And now, the 4 pillars for doing Meta ads. 1 machine, 4 pillars, and each pillar is built to feed the next. If you pull any one of these pillars out and you're not using it, the whole engine will grind to a halt. And this is honestly what most contractors miss. So there's a few main things. Pillar 1 is the creative engine. This is how you are actually making the creatives. So when we say creatives, that's the actual ad itself, whether it's a video, an image, whatever you see on Instagram or Facebook, that is the creative itself. So the creative engine, you need a ton of testing. We test so many different videos, and here we see static and video tests, because we need to see, okay, what messaging and what angle is going to work best in each area. Every city, every zip code, every state is a little different in how they respond and how they psychologically make decisions and what they respond to in messaging, right? Everything plays into it. Is it a blue state? Is it a red state? That plays into decision making. Is it more of a family-oriented city or family-oriented state? What are things that this state likes? Are they big into sports? Are they big into this? Are they big into this? The demographics that we're working with. All of those, the household incomes, those all play into the types of decision making and the psychology behind how these people make decisions. And so it's very important to keep that in mind, and you want to be doing a lot of research on that. And now the winning message gets identified. And then when we see, okay, these are the winning messages, these are the angles, the copy that is performing best in these areas, okay, now we will write probably 3 to 4 scripts with 3 or 4 different hooks, and the owner will record them. The owner of the company will record those ads, send us over the footage, and we will edit them. Those are the ads that do the best. We don't expect these initial static and video tests to be anything crazy performance-wise. They'll get leads, they'll get estimates, but it's these owner-recorded ads that when we do these, they perform the best. And a lot of company owners don't want to record. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't want good ads, you don't need to record. If you want good results, you're going to want to record. Pillar 2 is the lead capture itself. So we do a couple different things. We'll run Facebook lead forms, which is just the forms that you would see where you click an ad and it opens directly in Facebook still, or directly in Instagram. You don't leave the platform. And you answer a couple questions. You fill out your name. These are very, very effective. And we'll usually have questions that are something along the lines of, is it a residential or commercial property? What kind of scope of work are you looking for? Just general things like that to get a bit more information and add a bit of friction. Because every little bit of friction means the person has to put in more work to go through that. And if they go through that process, it means they're more incentivized and there's more intent behind them actually opting in. Whereas if it's just a name, email, phone number capture, you could have a lot of crappy leads come through because there's no filtering. And then we will also use branded landing pages where we're building out landing pages to send the leads to after they opt in, or also doing opt-ins on the landing pages, and then self-booking scheduling page. So we always give leads the option to book directly in there, because let's say a lead comes through at midnight, right? They get sent to a calendar page where they have the option to book their estimate themselves, because we don't want to lose out on that lead and not have the chance to book them just because it's middle of the night, right? And then they also have a confirmation and thank you page, which is just a very basic thank you page, just telling them exactly what to expect a call from our team pretty soon, and to kind of lay out what the estimate's going to look like. And then we have pillar 3, which is the follow-up. So as soon as a lead comes through, they're getting text, they're getting emailed, and they're getting called from our team within the first 1 to 2 minutes every single time. Then we also have confirmation calls. So like I said, leads have the option to book directly through the funnel, right, or the landing page when they fill out the ad. And in that case, they haven't communicated to our team. We haven't touched base with them at all. They just scheduled themselves. And so in this case, we still do what we call a confirmation call, where one of our reps will call the lead immediately who's scheduled and just confirm their information, make sure they actually are a qualified lead, because you never know. You might have people come through that are not, and we want to cancel them so your salespeople aren't driving out an hour to an estimate that ends up being terrible, right? And then also post-job review requests. So after jobs, after estimates, You want to be getting reviews. We set our guys up with review business cards. So when they go to an estimate, they go to a job, they just leave a business card there with a QR code to leave a review. A lot of companies only go for reviews on jobs. Don't miss over the estimates. You're having probably 3 to 5 times more estimates than you are jobs, right? And so you're missing out on a lot of potential reviews just by not asking or leaving review business cards at estimates. If a homeowner didn't work with you, but they had a great experience with your sales rep and the estimate itself, there's a good chance they leave you a good review still. And then pillar 4, arguably the most important, is tracking. This is where we actually know what's going on. We know all the metrics throughout the entire process with the meta ads, and we can actually see, okay, what is the lead to estimate to close ratio? What is the attribution there? Real-time dashboard showing all the data to the T. We need to also see per ad revenue accountability, because we might have an ad, a video that is maybe getting a ton of leads, but it's not booking estimates. And then we might have one that's a little bit more expensive, but it's actually the one getting all the qualified estimates. And so that's how you want to see the division and the different metrics across the different ads, the different ad sets, the different campaigns. Then we also typically always give bi-weekly performance reviews to the businesses we work with. And now, right, we will never be guessing at the message. We test until the market tells us, always, right? Like I said, we are testing broad, finding the hooks, and then scripting the winners, then giving the scripts to the owner. Then they give us the videos, we edit them, and we scale the winners. Very, very straightforward. And then the lead capture, like I said, we're sending them to a branded landing page, self-booking or scheduling page, and then a confirmation page, right? These are usually what we ask, how the services they're interested in, how soon are you looking to get this done, to get a bit of timeline urgency from them. Can you explain a little bit about the issue, get a better idea of the scope of the work? Is this a residential or commercial property, and are you the owner or decision maker for this property? This answers all the qualifying questions for us and lets us know a bit more about their job, and we really have everything we need to here other than the financial qualifiers, which you don't want to do hard financial qualifiers beforehand. We'll do soft financial qualifiers and sometimes implement more if we see the lead quality is not quite where we want it, but most of the time it's not necessary. Most contractors lose the deal in the first 10 minutes by not having the follow-up engine. Immediate text, you need an immediate call going into that lead, and you need to qualify and book them. Do the confirmation calls, do the reminder calls, and get those reviews. And look, if you're on the job site, you can't expect to be able to call these leads immediately, which is why I need to have somebody do it. Every business we work with, we have a team of 4 that works with them just on Meta. Just on Meta. It's not including Google. It's not including SEO, just Meta. We have a client success manager who handles all the communication, the back and forth, the stat reports to the business. We have a creative specialist who's building the actual ads, doing the editing, and doing the scripting. And then we have a media buyer who's the one who actually manages the campaigns, builds out the campaigns, and watches the metrics every single day. And then we have a client sales rep who's the one who's actually calling the leads as soon as they opt in and qualifying them and scheduling them. That is the core 4 group of people, and we have one person handle each pillar here. So you can't go into meta ads and think, oh, you're just going to handle all the pillars, because it's not going to work. We have a team of 4. We have very dialed in systems, and we still need a team of 4 for each client we work with to make it as effective as possible. And then the final thing, like I said, is the tracking. But look, meta ads work, right? Meta ads work. I promise you that. You just need the system around them. Creative engine, lead capture, follow-up that doesn't break, tracking that ties revenue to every dollar spent. That is the difference between the 95% who think meta doesn't work and the 5% pulling 10x plus returns. We work exclusively with waterproofing foundation contractors. If you want us to implement everything we just went through in this video, plus help you scale and implement other channels like the Google LSA, Google Search, local service, the SEO, tracking systems, CRM builds, whatever it may be to help you scale, click the link below, book a call with us. We'll go over everything in your business. We'll find all the bottlenecks, what the biggest priorities are to focus on for you. And who knows, maybe Meta is the first thing we want to implement for you to help you get similar returns to the guys I showed you in this video here. So if you have any questions about Meta, also leave a comment, book a call. We can chat about it. And yeah, Meta, don't sleep on Meta. Very, very high performing channel, but it has to be done right.